Adverbs can go in many different positions in a sentence, and they can also have many different jobs in a sentence. So that's what makes them one of the more challenging parts of speech to learn to use correctly. So let's have a closer look at adverbs together. Adverbs describe verbs. That's their main job, and you can always remember that by looking closely at the name, adverbs. So their job is right there in their name. But they also can describe adjectives or other adverbs. And the information that they give is how, where, when, how often, or how much. So in the sentence, they eat quickly, the adverb quickly lets us know how they eat. So eat is the verb, and quickly tells us the way they eat, or the manner in which they eat. They eat outside. Outside is the adverb, and it tells us where they eat, where that action is taking place. They eat early tells us when they eat. They eat often. Often is the adverb that tells us the frequency of the eating. How often do they eat? Often. And enough is an adverb, and it's describing the quantity they eat, how much they eat. In this sentence here, they are eating the very hot food very quickly. The adverb very is not describing the verb. In this sentence, the first very is describing the adjective hot, and it's telling us how much of the hot quality. Very, which means a lot, so a lot of hot. And then the second very is telling us how much of quickly. What's the quantity or degree of quickly? Very, so a lot again. So yeah, that's one of the challenges of adverbs. They can either be describing verbs or describing adjectives or other adverbs. We can make many adverbs by adding ly to an adjective. So it doesn't work 100% of the time. You can't take all adjectives and turn them into adverbs by adding ly, but I would guess maybe about 75% of the adjectives you can just add ly to turn them into an adverb. Here's an example. A turtle is a slow animal. So slow is an adjective, and it's describing the noun animal. If we add an ly to the end of slow, it turns into an adverb, and we can use it to describe a verb. How do turtles move? They move slowly. Here's another example. A hare is a quick animal. So we know this is an adjective because it's coming before the noun animal and it's describing the animal. What kind of animal? A quick animal. And then when we add ly at the end, it turns into an adverb and it describes how the hare moves. How does the hare move? The hare moves quickly. We usually use how, where, when, and how often adverbs to describe verbs. So here's an example. That man usually walks outside quickly and late in the day. So there we have 4 adverbs describing one verb. So how does he walk? He walks quickly. Where does he walk? Outside. When does he walk? Late in the day. And how often does he walk? Usually. We usually use the how much adverbs with adjectives and other adverbs. So here is an example of that. That very tall man walks quite quickly. Very is describing how much of the tall quality, a lot. And quite is describing how much of the quickly quality. And so it's more than a little. Quite means more than a little. So I understand that adverbs are challenging because we have these 5 different categories, lots of different words with meanings that are not totally obvious. So yeah, they do require quite a bit of practice. So here are the 5 different types, and they have official grammar names that might also be useful to know. For example, adverbs that describe how an action happened are called adverbs of manner. So how did he walk? He walked quickly, easily, happily, well, carefully, slowly, smoothly. These are all examples of adverbs of manner. Adverbs that describe where an action happened are called adverbs of place. So where did we go? We went back, or we went down. Where did we meet? Or where will we meet? We will meet here. So these are all examples of adverbs of place. Here, back, down, above, away, far, outside. Adverbs of time describe when an action happened, or will happen, or is happening. So there is a lesson happening right now. There is a lesson happening soon. Later, tomorrow, today, yesterday, early, just a few examples. Adverbs of frequency tell us how often an action happens. Never, sometimes, often, normally, usually, rarely, generally are some examples. And then adverbs of degree tell us how much. Very, almost, entirely, to, enough, really, quite. So those are the ones that we usually use to describe adjectives or other adverbs, but not always. Like you can say, he ate enough, and so there it's describing the verb. But most of the time we use these ones to describe adjectives or other adverbs. So let's get some practice with these different types of adverbs. So what you're going to do is look at these 5 adverbs: hard, outside, regularly, very, and yesterday, and decide which category they fit into. Are they a when adverb, where, how much, or how often? So the students studied when. Which of these adverbs describes when? Yesterday. And then where, the students studied where. Which adverb describes where of these 5 adverbs? I think that one's pretty easy. Outside. You can look at the picture too. And then how did the students study? The students studied in what way? They studied hard. How much? Okay, here we are putting the adverb in front of an adjective. So which one can be used to modify the adjective? The students are what? Very smart. And then how often? The students study, what is the frequency? Regularly. Okay. So the other challenge of learning adverbs is knowing where to put them in a sentence. And this is not easy because they can go in several different places and it kind of changes the meaning a little bit. It can sometimes just be a question of style where you put it, just because it fits better with the other sentences around the sentence you're writing. So I'm going to emphasize where you should not put an adverb, and then I'll tell you the rules, but I would recommend doing a lot of practice in order to improve your adverb use rather than worrying too much about the rules, because they are a little bit complicated and there are exceptions, and mostly it's a matter of practice making perfect. Okay, so there are 4 correct positions that an adverb can go in a sentence. Number 1, quickly he finished his homework. Where is that adverb? It is at the what of the sentence? The beginning, right? Okay. 2, he quickly finished his homework. Where is that adverb? It's before the what? Before the verb. He is quickly finishing his homework. It's between the what verb and the main verb. So there it is, between the main verb and what's this other verb here? It's between the helping verb and the main verb. And then he finished his homework quickly. Where is it there? It's at the end of the sentence. So adverbs can go in all of those places, and they are all correct for this type of adverb. But I said what I was really going to focus on is where you should not put an adverb. So probably the mistake I hear most often with adverbs is this one here. He finished quickly his homework. So the rule here is do not put the adverb between the verb and the what. So in this sentence, what is homework? He finished his homework. Homework is the object. So do not put the adverb between the verb and the object. So if you don't remember anything else from this lesson, that would be a useful thing to remember, and I would be happy if you remembered it. He quickly is finishing his homework. The mistake there is that it is usually incorrect to put the adverb in what of a helping verb? In front of a helping verb. So this is a little confusing, right? Because I said don't put the adverb between the verb and the object. That's bad. But you should put the adverb in between the helping verb and the main verb. So look at number 3. He is quickly finishing his homework. So if there's a helping verb, you should put that adverb in between the helping verb and the main verb. But you should not put it in front of the helping verb. Okay, so let's very quickly go over the rules. Like I said, there are lots of exceptions, but this is kind of a general sketch of the common adverb positions. If it's an adverb that describes how an action happens, put it after the main verb or after the object, if there is one. So she studied hard comes after the main verb. She finished her homework quickly. There it's coming after the object. If it's a where adverb, put it after the main verb as well, or after the object if there is one. So the how and the where adverbs have the same rule. He looked everywhere, but he couldn't find his keys anywhere. So everywhere is coming after the verb, anywhere is coming after the object. With the when adverbs, put them at the beginning or the end of the sentence or the clause. Yesterday we went to the beach. We went to the beach yesterday. So you can see the position changed for the when adverbs. It's no longer after the verb, it's either at the beginning of the sentence or the end. For the how often adverbs, put them before the main verb, but after any helping verbs. As in, I always exercise in the morning, we only have a main verb, but if there's a helping verb, put it in between. I am always exercising when he calls. And finally, how much adverbs, put them before the adjective or the other adverb they are describing. as in it was quite hot and humid yesterday, so we slept very poorly. Quite is coming before the adjective hot, and very is coming before the adverb poorly. Okay, so let's see if you can apply what we've learned, keeping in mind those two positions where I said you should not put adverbs. These sentences have adverbs in wrong positions. Your first job is to identify the adverb and then decide where the adverbs should go instead to put them in a correct position. So number 1, she completes always her homework. So what's the adverb there? She is the subject, completes is the verb, homework is what? It's a noun and it's the object. So always is our adverb, and we've got an adverb in between a verb and an object, and that's no good. Okay, so she always completes her homework is the way the sentence should go, and that adverb is describing how often she completes her homework. So when it's describing how often, it needs to come before the verb. Let's look at the next one. He solved quickly the problem. So what's the adverb? That one's easy, right? Because it's got ly. So quickly is our adverb. And what's the problem again? It's going in between the verb and the object, and that's no good. So this time we need to put the adverb at the end. So it's a how adverb. How did he solve it? He solved it quickly. So with those, you need to put them after the verb or after the object if there is one. He solved the problem quickly. Let's look at the next one. The group discussed together the project. So our adverb there is what? Together. And again, we've got it in between the verb and the object. It's no good. So it should be the group discussed the project together, because how did they discuss? Together. So again, you need to put it at the end. The teacher explained well the homework. What's the adverb? The adverb is well. And again, the teacher explained the homework well. How did she explain it? And so if it's a how adverb, we put it after the object. He answered correctly all the quiz questions. Man, no good again, because we've got that adverb in between our verb and our object. So we're going to put it at the end again because it's a how adverb. He answered all the quiz questions correctly. Number 6, what's the adverb? She is studying for exams always. The adverb is always. So what's the problem here? So notice we have a helping verb. So if we've got a helping verb, put the adverb in between the helping verb and the main verb. She is always studying for exams. So that's a how often adverb. She rarely was coming to class. So what's our adverb there? Notice the ly. Okay, and again we have a helping verb. So where does the adverb need to go? In between the helping verb and the main verb. They are often working from home. What's the adverb? Often. And again, we've got a helping verb, so you guessed it. We have to put that adverb in between the helping verb and the main verb. He always should come to class. What is our adverb? Always. And we have a helping verb, should. So put that adverb between the helping verb and the main verb. And finally, she sometimes has been doing her homework. Our adverb is sometimes. And here we have two helping verbs, right? So you need to put the adverb after the first helping verb. Okay, so let's summarize what we've learned. Adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs, as in the really intelligent students learned very quickly. How did they learn? Quickly. How quickly did they learn? Very quickly. And how intelligent are the students? Really intelligent. So we've got an adverb describing an adjective, we've got an adverb describing a verb, and we've got an adverb describing another adverb. We can form many adverbs by adding ly to adjectives, as in the careful students carefully finished their homework. So we turned careful into an adverb by adding ly. How did they finish their homework? Carefully. What kind of students are they? Careful students. We can use adverbs to describe things in 5 ways: how, where, when, how often, or how much. As in, she often studies here very early, and she easily finishes quite difficult homework. So I'll leave it up to you to figure out which of those are how, where, when, how often, or how much. We usually use how much adverbs to describe adjectives and other adverbs, as in, it is almost never too hot to study in Canada. Adverbs can go in many different positions in a sentence, but they should not go between a verb and an object, and they should also usually not go before a helping verb. So she does always her homework is no good because we've got that adverb in between our verb and our object. So it should instead be she always does her homework. She always is talking in class. If you've got a helping verb, put that adverb in between the helping verb and the main verb. So probably more than any other part of speech, adverbs are the ones where you really need to do a lot of practice instead of learning the rules. And also you need to talk to native speakers, watch movies, read books, because learning to use them like a native speaker does take time and lots of exposure to the language.